발자국이 남지 않은 대지의 끝에 난 그저 손을 높이 뻗어 잡을 수 있게 더는 걸어서 갈 수 없어 이제는 법을 알 것 같아 타오르는 열기 속에 나를 던질게 어둠 속에서 만난 태양이 손을 모든 건 한 발 멀어졌어 나를
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we are diving into a brand new digital portrait, and our muse for this piece is none other than Timon. You all probably know the reference photo I'm drawing today. Blonde hair on Timon is truly iconic. It creates such a soft, striking contrast against his features. And as soon as I saw this shot, I knew I had to translate it into a full pencil portrait. To kick things off, I set up my canvas with a simple, solid gray base layer. Blocking in this initial mid-tone value right at the beginning helps me map out the light and shadow relationships before I ever commit to a single detail line. While you watch these thousands of cross-hatching lines come together, let's dive deep into Timon's journey. To truly understand his artistry, you have to look back at where it all began in May 2008. Shiny debuted under SM Entertainment with replay, fresh R and B sound, and complex choreography. At just 14 years old, Timon was the youngest member, debuted primarily as the group's main dancer. In those early tracks, he had very few singing lines because his focus was strictly on grounding the group's intense choreography. But Timon's story is defined by constant growth. Driven by a desire to contribute more vocals alongside vocal powerhouses like Jonghyun and Woonyu, he spent late nights in the practice rooms refining his breath control, vocal placement, and stability. By the time Shiny entered iconic eras like Ring Ding Dong, Lucifer 2010, and the groundbreaking Sherlock 2012, his voice had matured significantly. By 2013, in the song Everybody, he was taking on massive high notes and lead vocal lines live on stage while performing. Some of the most physically demanding dances in K-pop history. That vocal transformation set the stage for his solo debut in August 2014 with his mini-album Ace and title track Danger. This marked a complete artistic departure from his image in Shiny, introducing a darker sound with sharp, Michael Jackson-inspired pop and lock choreography. For today's video, I'm trying something a little different. I'm filming with my Canon 600D to capture close-up shots of my hand, the Apple Pencil, and the physical iPad screen alongside the direct screen recording. I love showing the physical reality of drawing, the way the pen moves on the screen, because it connects the digital world back to traditional sketching. Since I'm showing some B-roll of my setup today, I wanted to quickly talk about the camera I use to film these videos. This is my Canon 600D, which is an older DSLR model, but it's absolute magic for art content. It has a flip-out LCD screen, which is an absolute lifesaver when you're filming overhead. It lets me monitor my framing in real time, so I can make sure my hands or my head aren't blocking the drawing area on the iPad. I have the Canon mounted on a heavy-duty tripod with an extended overhead arm. Positioning the tripod slightly over my shoulder gives you that nice, intimate angle, almost like you're sitting right next to me while I draw. One quick technical tip: if you film your own digital art, I always switch my camera lens to manual focus. If you leave it on autofocus, the lens will constantly try to focus on your moving hand or the Apple Pencil instead of the screen itself, which causes that annoying focus hunting blur. By locking the focus directly onto the iPad surface and adjusting my studio lighting to avoid harsh glare, I can capture every tiny detail of the screen clearly. As we shift into rendering the main facial structure, you can see a quick shot from my Canon 600D. I love switching between direct iPad screen captures and physical camera footage. The Canon 600D lets me capture the exact angle of my hand, how I hold the Apple Pencil, and how the light hits the iPad screen in real time. It gives a much more intimate, grounded look at the physical effort behind digital drawing. Now we're moving into drawing the hand. Hands are notoriously one of the trickiest subjects for artists, mainly because they are so dynamic and flexible. When I approach sketching a hand, I never start with the outlines or fine skin folds. Instead, I break the hand down into basic 3D geometry. I think of the palm as a solid wedge shape, and each finger segment as a series of simple box or cylinder forms. Mapping out these simple volumes first helps me lock in the perspective and proportions straight away. If you jump straight into line details without establishing the underlying structure, it's very easy for fingers to end up looking flat, unnatural, or bent out of shape. Once these basic structural forms are mapped in, I use my hard pencil brush on Procreate to cross-hatch across the curved surfaces. Shading a curved form like a finger requires following the direction of the surface. So my diagonal pencil lines curve around the knuckles and finger joints to build realistic 3D volume. While I keep building up the line work here, I want to be super honest with you guys about a creative dilemma I've been dealing with lately. Digital art on Procreate is just so incredibly convenient, fast, and comfortable. Being able to hit undo, zoom in down to the exact pixel, move layers around, and draw anywhere without setting up paints or cleaning brushes makes it so tempting to only work digitally. But as some of you know, I have my second YouTube channel, Oezzynur.Studio, which is supposed to be dedicated to traditional art blogs and physical sketchbooks. Lately, I've had to literally force myself to pick up traditional media because I'm so terrified of letting that channel slip into becoming just another digital channel. I had a clip of my recent digital drawing of James from Cordy's because it was also an art challenge, just like the crow I drew in that last video there. It's cheating, I know. Just recently, I filmed a soft pastel morning sketch for a new video. I sat down with my morning coffee, set up the camera, and tried to enjoy the physical texture of pastels on paper. It was devastatingly messy, but I'm honestly on the fence about whether I should even include that footage or just ditch it completely. To try to motivate myself, I went out and bought brand new sketchbooks and a set of fresh brushes. You know that feeling when buying new art supplies gives you a temporary burst of excitement? It definitely helped nudge me back to the desk, but the struggle between digital ease and traditional effort is real. Heck, even content making for digital art is easier than for traditional art supplies. The bigger realization I've come to through this process is about what I actually like to draw. If I'm being completely honest, I don't get any joy out of drawing anything other than human portraits. You see so much advice online for art channels saying, do quick food studies, or draw cute animals for quick engagement. So I tried doing those small food and animal sketches for quick content, but honestly, it triggers me so much. I don't enjoy the process while I'm doing it, and when the drawing is finished, I end up completely disliking the artwork. It made me realize that forcing yourself to draw things you don't care about just for the sake of making easy content is a fast track to artist burnout. Art takes way too much time and energy to spend it on subjects that don't bring you genuine satisfaction or excitement. That's why I always come back to portraits, even though they are never a quick 5-minute activity for me. My perfectionism simply won't allow me to rush a face. Capturing someone's exact likeness, the subtle shadows around the eyes, the texture of the skin, and the mood of a reference takes hours of patience and thousands of deliberate pencil strokes. That exact perfectionism is what I'm pouring into my current project right now. The choice sand drawn from 80s bad era that I'm currently working on. It's a huge challenge, but because it's a portrait, every hour spent tweaking the line work feels completely worth it. I worked more than 10 hours on that piece now, and I'm just 70% done. Oh my. So if you're an artist feeling pressured to churn out fast, simple content that doesn't align with what you love, this is your sign to stick to what actually inspires you, even if it takes 10 times longer. Since we're being completely real today, here is another major confession. I am actually terrified of painting with color. That is the honest truth behind why I mostly stick to monochrome graphite drawings with pencils. Graphite feels safe and controlled. You don't have to worry about color harmony, warmth, or saturation. You just focus on values, lighting, and precision. Beyond that, I get super triggered whenever brushes don't make clear, distinctive lines. Broad, soft blending brushes frustrate me because I lose that sharp control. That is the sole reason I tweak my brush painting technique to mimic pencil techniques. I'm essentially forcing painting tools to act like hard graphite lead in traditional as well as digital artwork. My oil paintings from years ago look precise too, and not like a color-blocked piece of thing. Believe it or not, I do have a few colored pieces that I'm really proud of. But if you ask me how I made them, I couldn't tell you. Whenever a colored artwork turns out well, it's because I fell into a weird artist trance. It's almost like in blackout state. I come out of it, look at the finished canvas, and have zero memory of how I actually chose or mixed those colors. Whenever I try to intentionally practice color work step by step, it turns out complete trash. Honestly, my deliberate color practices end up looking way more sinister than a toddler's painting. Haha. So until I decode that color mystery, using structured pencil textures is where I feel most in control. While I continue detailing the hand and knuckles here, I want to turn things over to you guys. I'm always so curious about how other artists and creators approach their work on social media. For everyone watching who draws, paints, or creates, what medium or subject do you always catch yourself gravitating toward? Do you prefer sticking to a specific style that feels like your comfort zone? Or do you constantly force yourself to switch things up with new tools? I see so many incredible artists on TikTok and Instagram experimenting with different styles every single week. Whether you do fast digital sketches, traditional oil paintings, or detailed graphite portraits, every single creator has their own unique workflow. I'd love to know in the comments, what is the one subject or medium that makes you completely lose track of time when you're working? It's fascinating when you look at artists across social media or even K-pop idols on stage. On the surface, everyone looks completely unique. Every artist has their own specific way of holding a pencil, choosing colors, or building up line work. Every performer has their own distinct posture, vocal tone, and stage presence. But underneath those individual styles, we are all surprisingly similar in so many ways. Whether you are an idol preparing for a comeback stage or an artist sitting in a desk sketching a hand, we all deal with the exact same inner experiences, facing a blank canvas, overcoming creative blocks, and pushing through perfectionism when a line or step doesn't look quite right on the first try. That shared experience is what makes the creative community so special. Even though our final artworks or performances look completely different, the dedication behind the scenes connects all of us. So to all the artists, dancers, and creators watching this video right now, remember that your unique process is your superpower. Don't worry about comparing your timeline or technique to anyone else's, because we're all walking the same path of learning and refining our craft step by step. Now let's talk about the actual technical process behind this piece. For the entirety of this drawing, I used a hard pencil brush on Procreate, keeping the tip size small and setting the opacity to a full 100%. A lot of digital artists rely heavily on blending tools or soft airbrushes to get smooth skin tones, but I wanted something raw, textured, and deliberate. Because this hard pencil doesn't blend on its own, every single mark I make stays completely visible. That line work visibility was entirely intentional. It gives the digital piece the feel of a traditional graphite study on textured paper. The portrait itself is structured using just 3 primary layers. After that initial gray base layer, the real work begins with cross-hatching. To give his skin and features a realistic three-dimensional volume, I layer multiple diagonal lines in completely different directions. I start with one angle for the underlying form, then cross over it at an opposing angle to build up shadow depth. It is an incredibly repetitive, patient technique. I repeat these exact steps millions of times across the nose, the lips, and the subtle contours around the eyes. Whenever a line feels out of place or too heavy, I erase it immediately to keep the overall line work sharp and clean. That balance building texture, while constantly cleaning up stray lines, is basically the core of my entire drawing method. Back to Tiemann and his solo career, he followed his first mini album with his first full-length album, Press It. Featuring Press, Your Number Could written by Bruno Mars in 2016. In October 2017, he released Move, a track that completely revolutionized male performance art in K-pop. Instead of relying on explosive, high-energy beats, Move was intentionally sensual and fluid. The choreography subverted traditional gender expectations in dance and marked the birth of the viral move disease trend across South Korea. He built upon this signature style in 2019 with Want, and in 2020 released his ambitious two-part album project, Never Gonna Dance Again, Act 1, Criminal, and Act 2, Idea. Right before his military enlistment in May 2021, he dropped Advice, displaying aggressive piano melodies and rapid-fire high-register vocals. Following his return, his 2023 comeback with Guilty proved his staying power once again with its dramatic visual storytelling. Beyond his solo work, his center role in Super M earned him the title idol of idols. Before we move into finalizing this artwork, it's impossible not to talk about Tiemann's broader legacy. He didn't just adapt to K-pop trends. He actively shaped the aesthetic direction of the entire industry. So many newer artists study his stage presence, his fluid dance technique, and his daring concept execution. He proved that performance art in K-pop could be deeply conceptual, vulnerable, and boundary-pushing. On a personal level, his creativity is a massive inspiration for me as an artist. Watching how thoughtfully he approaches every visual detail, from fashion to movement, pushes me to take risks in my own work and spend the hours necessary to bring a piece like this to life. As we wrap up the main portrait, we come to the background. I reached a point where I simply could not decide on a single concept. So I decided to test two completely different directions. In one variation, I experimented with a soft, cool blue watercolor effect to add a splash of subtle color behind the figure. In the other, I painted a bold, clean white acrylic look. After comparing them side by side, I fell in love with the white version. It keeps all the focus directly on the hard pencil texture and the dark contrast of his hair. For the very final touch, I went back into the portrait layer to darken the hair further, giving the entire composition a strong focal point and making his eyes pop. And that completes our Tiemann portrait. Next week, I'll be back with a Draw With Me featuring Choi San's iconic photo from the Bad Era. I am working hard to finish it in time, so stay tuned. If you want sneak peeks before videos go live, I share tons of spoilers on my social channels. You can follow me at OK.Studio on TikTok and Oezzynur.Studio on Instagram and right here on YouTube. And if you enjoy traditional art, vlog style content, and sketchbook tours, make sure to check out my second channel, Oezzynur.Studio. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next drawing video. Love you.